Hey guys, this is Smithy. Welcome to my channel. Today's video is a very special one. We're going to talk about my top 10 products that I tried in the first quarter of 2024. And I feel like these all products that I'm going to talk about is like just absolute gems. And you will not be disappointed if you try any of them. So if you guys are ready to see what are my top 10 products of 2024 so far, then please keep on watching. By the way, I did this face using these top 10 products. There's a bunch of eyeshadow palettes and a few other makeup products also. You know how much I love my eyeshadow palette, so I could not choose among these. And I have actually 6 eyeshadow palettes and 4 other makeup products that I have to talk about. So if you're ready, let's start. The first thing that I want to start is with the blush. The blush that I used today, I definitely want to shout out Glaminatrix Cosmetics liquid blushes. I have all 5 of them. All 5 of them. They sit right in my vanity because I use them constantly for my work, for every day. Like from the time this has landed in my collection, I feel like every week I've used this. And that's saying a lot. I'm actually using the shade Lavish on myself today. It's more of like a neutrally brown terracotta shade. I love to wear this with like neutral looks. I really love the way how this look turned out. I did not have anything else on my cheek apart from this blush. Definitely wanted to shout out Glaminatrix Cosmetics. Next time, if you are purchasing anything with Glaminatrix Cosmetics, I would highly recommend to try these blushes too because they absolutely excelled in these liquid blushes. I would love to see more colors from them in this formula. I love it, absolutely. I do have a code with Glaminatrix Cosmetics. It is Smithy Sony to save you 10% off. Okay, next let's talk about the eyeshadow palette. I'm actually wearing 2 eyeshadow palettes on my eyes. Absolutely not required because all these eyeshadow palettes are absolutely amazing. But let's start off with the things that I am using on my eyes. I started off with the Burnt Forest palette from Krypton Cosmetics. This is a new indie brand. They do not have any other eyeshadow palettes in their collection. This is their first eyeshadow palette and they absolutely knocked my socks off with this palette. I love this palette. I actually started off with the transitioning shade all across my eyelid just to set the foundation down. Then I tried this shade, the darker green shade, which is Withered Leaf, on my outer corners. I blended it out a little bit into the crease. And then I used this shade, which is Dawn, which is like a green to a pink shifting multi-chrome on my inner corners. And that's what you see there. I just flicked it out into the crease too. And that's what I used from the Burnt Forest palette. The next palette that I want to recommend is the Sorcerous Smoke palette. Now, I know that this released last year, but I tried this year. So I definitely wanted to shout out this. I only used one shade from this palette, this Prophecy shade, all into my crease, and I blended it out with that deeper green shades. I definitely wanted to shout this out because this palette definitely I've used the most during this year, along with another palette that I'm going to talk about. Actually, 2 more. All these palettes I use quite often, okay? Quite often. That's why this is landed in this video, because I use it so much. My standout shades from this palette, of course, I love all the mattes, but from the shimmers, I absolutely love this shade, which is called Veverin. This one, it's such a unique shade on the eyes. I feel like I'm getting into greens because of this shade. I really love this shade, and this shade is so magical. The potent shade on the eyes is stunning. This green shade, I wore it to office last like Tuesday, and I loved the way how this look turned out. I absolutely cannot recommend this enough. I know a lot of people have a code with Unearthly Cosmetics. I personally do not. Use anybody's code, save some money. Unearthly Cosmetics does a lot of sales on their website, or wait for a sale to grab this. This is so much worth the money. I absolutely love this. Okay, now let's talk about the lid shade. Like, this is a new makeup product in my collection that I tried for the first time in 2024, and thanks to Ensley Reign Cosmetics. They sent out their Moon Dust shadows. I have several more, but oh my god, these 3 are just so close to my heart. I absolutely love Retro Rainbow, which is like an iridescent holochromy. It's not holochrome. It's very stunning. It's so finely milled. I'm actually wearing the shade Bell Bottom Bloom on my eyes, and that's all that I have on my lid. And look at the twinkliness and the shininess that's going on in my eyes. All that I did was I put some Glimmer Grass from Unearthly Cosmetics on my eyelid, and I just went this on the back of the cap a little bit and dabbed my brush and tapped it on top of it. That's it. I love the way these things look on my eyes. I'm interested in everything that they come out in the Moon Dust formula. I want to talk about my favorite. Okay, Mellow is definitely like my favorite Moon Dust that they've done. It's like a purple, green, pink all together. So pretty. And this shade, which is Sunset Sienna, I don't even know if you can see it or not. It's pink, it's gold. It is so pretty on the eyes. Everything looks absolutely magical, but I definitely would recommend Retro Rainbow and Mellow the most if you are more into like iridescent, like neutrally cool tone looks. But if you are more into like warm tones and greens, Bell Bottom Bloom and Sunset Sienna would be your guy. I really love this. Okay, since we're talking about Ensley Reign, let's also get it out of the ballpark, because this is, I feel like, the most used palette in my collection, and not because of the shimmers, the mattes. I mean, don't get me, otherwise shimmers are stunningly beautiful, but the mattes, oh my god, they are absolutely breathtaking. This is the Groovy Garden palette from Ensley Reign Cosmetics. Oh my god, the use that I've gotten out of these shades, especially the matte shades, is tremendous. Like, I love everything about this palette. There's not one look that I've come out with this palette that I've not loved. Oh my god, I love it. I often wear this shimmer to office a lot, and this, because those are my tones. The bottom row, I have like used and abused so much. The top row, so stunning. These lighter tones to blend out any eye look, stunning. I feel like they've done such a great job with this palette. I do not want Ensley Reign to go out and venture in the matte formula, because I feel like they've excelled the matte formula. This is the kind of matte formula that I absolutely love and adore. They blend by themselves, they build so nicely, they're pigmented, they're just amazing. I've done several looks, several get readies with me using the Groovy Garden palette, and I absolutely love it. Love it to death. I love it, absolutely. This would definitely rank high up in my rankings for 2024. There's absolutely no doubt, because I've used it that much. Okay. Let's move on to the next thing, the highlighter that I'm wearing. You can see the beamingness that's going on my face, and that is a highlighter. This again was launched in 2023, but I purchased it in 2024, and I cannot recommend this enough. It's so smooth on the skin, but it just works so beautifully. It doesn't emphasize the texture or anything, and I'm talking about Whatsup Beauty Serengeti highlighter. Oh my god, from the packaging to the product inside is just a work of art. Like, look at that. It is so pretty. You know how much I love their eyeshadow palette too, the Dragon Eye palette. I keep raving about it, but I've not given enough shout out to the highlighter. But this is definitely in like constant rotation. I often wear this highlighter, and I cannot recommend this enough. This is very smooth, and I personally feel like you get like two highlighter shades in one. You definitely can go more like pinky goldeny or champagne goldeny on and this one, by the way, is in the shade Safari Sunset. It's a darker one out of the lot, and it works perfectly on my medium tan skin tone. I absolutely love it. Okay, next thing that I want to talk about is a colorful palette. If you have been eyeing like a pastel and a colorful neon-y palette, look no further. I feel like this palette is absolutely magical. I am talking about Gourmande Girls' Nueva Vida palette, which was in collaboration by Steph's Beauty Stash. I feel like Steph did something so very special with this palette. Yes, it is colorful, it is loud, but you can make it more wearable. If you were eyeing this palette and you were scared that you would use it more or not, check out my video that I did using this palette. I did more wearable looks using this palette, so that I knew that there are a lot of people who dive into this palette for that neon greens and that orange. I wanted to tone down a little bit. Yes, I did use those shades, but I toned it down in such a wearable way that you would absolutely love it if you are more of like a toned down wearable lover. I really love this palette. I love the color selection. I love the shimmers that were chosen in this palette. I love the mattes. I love that she went like from very light to very deep and everything in between. It's just gorgeous. I cannot recommend this enough. Again, this is another palette which is very unique to my collection. I hardly have anything in my collection that resembles this, and I love it for that. I really love. I do have a code with Gourmande girls too, and this is Smithy Sony to save you 10% off. All my codes in the description box below. Let's talk about another blush, okay? This blush is a powder blush. I absolutely think you cannot go wrong with this blush, especially the shade, the formula, everything. I have non-stop used this from the time this is landed in my collection, and I absolutely love the packaging, the product inside, how it feels on my skin. Beautiful. And I'm talking about Too Faced Cloud Crush Blurring Blush, and this one is in the shade Velvet Crush. This shade is absolutely right up my alley. It's a neutral pinky tone. It might look light for me, but it shows up so beautifully on me. I want to show it. I know that I have another blush, but I just want to show how beautifully it shows up and it blurs my skin, and that's what I love about this blush. If you have a skin with texture and you do not like glowy blushes, I would highly 100% recommend this blush. Go for any shade that you love and you would absolutely love it. This definitely is my favorite one. I actually picked it out from the Ultra 21 Days of Beauty for 50% off. I should have picked out more shades. Like, oh my god, I love this. Okay, let's talk about another eyeshadow palette. This was an anti-Valentine's Day release. February is gone by far. We are in April right now, but I still use this palette to the core. These are like my shades. Not only like an anti-Valentine's Day palette. I had lipstick on my teeth. From when? I have no idea. Okay. Not only is this like an anti-Valentine's Day palette, but the shades that were chosen in this were absolutely magical, and I love that this palette is magnetic too, so that I can customize my shades too. And I'm talking about Bella Beaute Bar's Dead Roses palette. I have used and abused this palette so very much. I personally love the bottom half of the palette the most, just because I love purples and mauves, but I obviously dip into the top row also. The least used shades for me is like those reds and corals, and the hot pink, but otherwise all the shades. I know it looks like a lot of pink and purple, but on the eyes, all these shimmers look so different. It is so beautiful. You would not imagine. This looks like a greeny pink shade. This looks like a blue when you put it on your eyes. This is such a stunning purple green. This is such a grungy multi-chrome. This is like my favorite shade. It's like a purple, pink, everything that you want like in eyeshadow is there. I love the curation of this palette. And not to forget the mattes. The mattes are just complimentary, beautiful. I love the deeper mattes of this palette. Absolutely love it. Love this purple, and this muted pink shade is so necessary in this palette. I love the curation of this palette. Absolutely love it. I cannot recommend this enough. The formula of Bella Beaute Bar is, you know how much I love them because of the formula of their eyeshadow palettes, and this, they absolutely knocked my socks off with this palette. I would highly recommend this. 2 more items to go. Let's talk about an honorable mention, okay, before we end up this. An honorable mention, you know how much I love my Natasha Denona lipsticks, but this shade that I picked out, I feel like it's a neutral cool tone person's dream if you are a medium tan skin tone, and if you want like a brown but in a cool tone family, I feel like this would be amazing. This is the Natasha Denona I in a nude lipstick, and this one is in the shade Naya, which is 4B. This is perfect neutral brown for me. I love to wear a little more on a deeper tone but more muted, and this I can pair it out with like a lighter pink and it makes it more wearable for me. I tend to wear more like grungier, cool tony leaning lipsticks, and this, I love it. Absolutely love it. Last, certainly not the least, I have to shout out this eyeshadow palette. The last eyeshadow palette, the last item that we're going to talk about. needs to be an eyeshadow palette. This, I have traveled with it so very much. This is my perfect, very close to perfect neutral palette, everyday palette in my collection, but with a twist. And I'm talking about Adept Cosmetics Flying Fiddles palette. From the packaging, the packaging even looks so sexy. I absolutely love the way this was packaged, and oh, I love it so very much. It has a great mirror, and the shades that were chosen in it, oh my god, I love it. If this was Smithy's palette, I would have just pushed in like 2 purple shades. One deep purple matte shade and one multichrome purple shade. And I often do that with my Minka palette. I put those like purpley shades into this palette and I make it my own. And I love everything else in this palette so very much. On the eyes, it looks so dimensional, so elegant. I so love it. I absolutely love this palette. I'm actually going to Canada this summer, and I am planning to take this palette along with me. I would definitely customize this palette to make it my own, but I'm planning to take this palette, and I cannot wait. I cannot wait to dive into more looks using this palette, unless there's another palette that comes in the meanwhile which knocks this palette off. I'm taking this palette or the Groovy Garden palette, that's for sure. And that's all for today, guys. I really wanted to recommend my top products for 2024 so far, so that you can make a healthy decision on what to buy and what not to buy. Just if you were like wondering, if you were like eyeing 2-3 products to get into your collection, which were the top products from my collection. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did like this video, you know what to do. Do give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and ring that notification bell so that you're notified every time that I post things. I generally upload 3 videos every single week, every Tuesdays, Thursdays and Saturdays at 9 AM Eastern Standard Time. Until next time, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.